This is the first small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti in London, 1967.
We'll start the ball rolling.
Will anyone offer what we've come here to discuss? Was it student life?
Take ripen.
I wonder whether we could talk about a point that this may come down to it, but yesterday's discussion in, where was it? Wimbledon. When we just stopped at a point man was making that we are being given an indication of a realm which we don't know exists, and yet we take it on trust that it exists, and whether this doesn't in fact make it more difficult for us to move towards something which in a way should only be a question mark, and yet I think we're all taking it for granted.
I think it is a question mark as far as the way I look, the way I put it. It's not, you can't take anything for granted, surely.
But I think it's an attitude the mind very simply or quickly falls into.
Oh yeah, of course.
And especially I think in the kinds of discussion that we have, I think it does weight our questions and our argument a little bit. I wonder whether it's possible to consider that.
Can we consider that?
Well, I think
after all, any form of speculation in this, any form of acceptance or taking for granted, or surely is out of place altogether, isn't it?
But I think we could consider the problem that many people find of it's rather like the image and the reality.
Yeah, quite.
But in this particular sphere, rather than in, say, the sphere of what I think of somebody else, but in the sphere that there may be another way of functioning which I don't know, which I want to get to even though I don't know it's there.
Well, I feel that this I want to get to comes back to this comparison you were talking about yesterday. We're projecting the state, and we see we're in this state and we compare with what we want to be, and we're caught right in this dualism again, as Krishnamurti was saying yesterday. So can we perhaps not, instead of projecting to that state, rather look at what we are at this moment? I know we all do this, Keith. I understand. All do it. I do it. But one realizes this is a trap. Even so, while you were speaking yesterday, one is falling into the whole time.
Yes, it isn't a very fruitful.
We were talking about something about. I don't know if we could bring that up.
Which subject?
Well, we were talking about this whole question, which seems to be the very core of everything you're saying. This question of the observer and the observed. And I know it's an old horse, and we may be flogging it uselessly, but it would seem to be very important. So, and I think there's a great deal of confusion in most of us in our thinking about it. Do we know the observer, and are we equating it to the observed, or do we know the observed and we are equating it to the observer?
What is the observer, sir? Shall we start with that?
We know
is
the
that all
observed.
right?
Usually we know the observed, and this observed is coloured by conditioned judgment.
So leave it for the moment.
We call observation.
Leave that for the moment, the observed,
Yes.
and let's go back and find out what the observer is.
History.
Would that be worthwhile?
This would lead us.
Yes, sir?
Yes, yes.
Sir, I have something else I would like us to talk about. If possible, if there's time.
Put it out, sir, put it out.
Most of us, some of us, the young people here, have been listening and reading what you've said for quite a while. And we seem to have got to a stage where there's nothing we can do. A career means nothing. It isn't important. And, you just live without anything, practically. How to make a living, it is a problem. Because there's no consuming interest you have.
Quite, I understand.
This way.
Maybe that's more important to talk about that.
Actually, that's really what I was meaning.
Maybe that's more important. At the moment.
Because in a way this affects all of us, not just the young people. Although you have an immediate thing, we're already caught in our, but it's a problem that all of us have.
So we have to earn money, haven't we, or not?
Yes, obviously.
I mean, no, well, not obviously. I know several people who don't. And say, why the hell should I earn money? I live on people who are earning money.
This is
No, I know several of them. Several Americans who are doing this, several Indians who are doing it. I say, what for? Why should I earn? And in India, you can wander around, put on a certain kind of robe, and you'll be fed and clothed right through India without anybody questioning. No police, no government, nothing will touch you. You're a holy man and you are free. And you are fed in every village or town. I'm afraid that couldn't happen here. One would be arrested for vagrancy and all the rest of it. So, what is one? Huh?
I was only going to say we got national assistance as a kind of public.
Public, yes. Here there is quite.
But it's not a very satisfactory life for long.
Besides, it's not valid for foreigners. So I think that they're both foreigners.
Anyway, it's not the real answer.
It's not the answer.
Then what is one to do? I'm not interested in earning a livelihood. I'm not interested in doing a particular job. All the sting has gone out of it. Then what am I to do? What is one to do? And I have to earn money, right? Let's take that for granted. Then how shall I earn it? Last year there were 4 or 5 Americans in India who came around to Delhi and all the rest of it, followed wherever we went. And they said, we will live somehow. Why make a fuss about all this?
Trouble is that Westerners seem to fall sick in India.
The
year before there were a whole batch too,
and they all fell ill.
They all got sick and they got
I know. Somebody had to feed them, look after them, and of course.
Some of them were permanently impaired.
I know, sir, I know.
But someone else is earning the living for them.
For them, of course.
So actually the problem is not solved. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Somebody's got to do it. Yes.
So what will one do? What will you do?
One takes a job for a little while, doing something. You just go there and you become dull.
But can you keep this up? Take a job here now and then. Keep on doing that for the rest of one's life?
It's nothing. But it seems the only way.
And what about, in that way of living, what about marriage? And marriage or sex? You follow, children, all the rest of it. Can one stand alone? Without marriage, without sex, or all that business?
I don't think I could be involved in such a way, personally.
Then how will one earn a livelihood? These Americans, and there were some in America too who I met, and they said, I don't care, I'll just live, from job to job. I really am not frightfully interested in earning a livelihood because the whole system is rotten and I don't want to enter into all that business. But I'll just see what happens. And that's one way of carrying on.
But are some of those very casual jobs, that these people take just to keep going, often even more deadening?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I mean. Do we? That's just it. So one has this problem of keeping tremendously alive and yet having to earn a livelihood and living in a, especially in Europe or in England, living in lodgings. I was talking to somebody the other day, it's appalling. So how will one go into this?
I've been thinking of something which might be useful, whatever useful means. Something,
significant
that one can do. Even then it seems very easy to get trapped. You put yourself in a situation
and you're trapped.
Absolutely.
So how will you arrange this? Not to be trapped, not to be drowned in a world which has very little meaning, not to become insensitive. Would you join a monastery?
That's the same as getting a career. You just locked up sort of.
Then how will you live? Start a group, own a piece of land, cultivate, all that.
Seems that too many people have tried it and failed miserably.
Fall into all kinds of hazards.
Appalling traps. Sexual jealousies, all kinds of things take place in these communities. So what will you go on, sir? Pursue it, go on into it. I have to have clothes, food and shelter. I must have those.
And time. A little bit of ease.
A little bit of time to myself. One can, if one was a gardener, if one was whatever one is, I think one does have a little bit of time to oneself. Even a factory worker has some time to himself. But he is so exhausted, dull.
There's a tea break in which all the other
I understand all
participate.
that. So,
he has to cross London to get to the wife who's waiting with supper.
I know. So don't go into all that. So what if I was in that position? What would I do? First, I want to keep an alert mind,
Yes.
a sense of watchfulness, keenness, interest, all that on one side. much more involved in that. I'm just putting in a few words. Then I have to have food, clothes and shelter. I must have it. And to have that, I have to work. And the work must be of a kind that won't make me dull, stupid, labor, incessant labor. So what shall I do? And there are, like those people in Italy, in Rome, they become monks.
You have to join a club with everything the club believes.
Believes in. And they do, really most of them don't believe in a damn thing. They want food, clothes and shelter, and they get it very easily in a cell. If there was such a group who said, this is what we want to do, keep an alert mind, but let us do work together to support each other, which is a small community. Would that succeed?
It would have to succeed. It seems to be. Are there such people?
First of all, there are such people. And am I going to wait till there are such people? In the meantime, how am I to live? So it's really quite a terrible problem. This is not just a... And many Europeans have done this. You see, go to India, put on this robe, sannyasi robe, and haven. Only they get ill and all kinds of things take place.
Do we have to accept that when we're trying to get to grips with this problem of earning a livelihood, whether we're Robert's age or later on in life, that although on the one hand there's this feeling, which we all have, that society is very sick, we don't want to add to the confusion more than we have to. We look for something which is socially acceptable and so on. But here it seems that we're caught at this business of operating at different levels, whether we like it or not. We are trying to understand very deeply what it's all about, what we're all about.
Yes.
But when to operate in society, it almost seems as if we have to accept living at a different sort of level in order to function at all. I don't think this is necessarily terribly bad or terribly tragic, but I feel that quite a lot of people who come and listen to you and perhaps gone into other things, and as a result of this they've very drastically changed their lives without the inward understanding to go with this, so that later on in life they're reduced to quite a pathetic sort of...
I know. To some ideal of renunciation because they think there's a carrot.
Or even not just even renunciation, just sort of feeling that they can't, do these other things, so they don't finish training.
Still, so much of what they're training for is really at a certain time. You see, for instance, the way most psychology is taught, and so that many of these young people want to do this. They start off wanting to do this and see they can't go on with it, and really it doesn't make sense to go on with it. It's It's not very simple.
Yeah, so the first point is you want to ask, is the society totally
Sick.
sick, or are there small spots which are not sick? You see, can you find something in society that's worth doing? Because if you can't find anything, then there seems to be no way out.
I think, after all, when I can become a gardener, or a cook.
No, there are probably a lot of things you see.
Yes, I mean, a lot of things which society is sick, but I have to live, and I take little.
These things are not tainted.
Yeah, I mean, least.
Well, they needn't be. I mean,
The least thing.
Yes.
I mean, to go and join the army to become a colonel, I mean, that's obviously.
Yes, it's highly complicated. It's
I mean, that's absurd.
involved.
But for example, also, say not, for example, not all education is tainted. I mean, I think there are people who.
That's right.
try
That's
to
right.
get
I
a
was just
job.
going to say that. In the educational field,
I mean, I
but that means I must have a degree.
Yes.
That means going to school, going to college, getting a proper degree, but in which I'm not interested. So I'm back again.
Well, it depends on your estimate of whether it's worth your trouble to get the degree.
Shall we just... I'll take it upstairs.
Lift it.
Put it on the last one too.
That is, if you have the degree, then you have the chance of getting a job with possibly more things to do, and also you may be a bit more comfortable and not have to live in surroundings that will be destroying you. I mean,
So, but if I don't want to study,
yes, it depends whether you want to or not.
yeah, I mean, if I don't want to,
Then nothing you can do.
Let's soon.
I mean, some people may want to, you see, they may find it interesting. It depends. Other people may, or depending on the study as well, of course, whether you think it's worth studying. Well, I can only go back to my own history and say that when I was younger, of course, it didn't look quite that bad, and I did want to study.
you may be an exception. I've met many young people who don't want to study.
Well, I can understand that, see, because a great deal of the teaching is just aimed at
Passing exams and getting a
passing
job.
exams and making a career, you see.
I know, making a career.
But even so, if you do want to study sufficiently, I think that it may be possible to not to fall into this. I mean, but if you don't want to study, then there's nothing more about it.
There's nothing that interests you sufficiently
Yeah, you
to
can't
spend
create an
time
interest
on
out of nothing.
like music or maths or anything.
So what's the problem then?
Right.
Most young people here for us. What's the problem? The problem is that I have no mind to study all this stuff. And then make a career out of a profession. And that doesn't interest me at all. And I like to live a different kind of life. I like to,
Yes, well, I mean, there doesn't seem to be any way to do it. I mean, that if you have no money, you can't do it. I mean, you really.
So does it depend on money, sir?
Partly. I mean, that is, you will. If you have no money, you will have to
Earn
make
it.
a living and of some very tiring and
I'm afraid
job.
so.
And therefore, you have very little energy left for the things you really want to do.
Except as Krishnaji says, there are certain
Yes,
jobs.
that's right.
For instance, we all have to talk, so that languages seem to be pretty neutral. You can learn languages without being part of any system.
You have to learn a lot of other stuff to study, to get
Yes,
enough.
sir.
You can become a very good secretary now in 5 or 6 languages and knowing how to type. And then you could be secretary of something you love to do. Gardeners, you know.
But not everybody wants to be studying language, you see. I mean, that might be your interest.
Yes.
We all use language whether we want to.
But you can only study it if you like it, you see. I mean, those who have an aptitude for it.
Because I might be one might be making an assumption that certain things won't interest one before one's actually investigated them.
Yes,
I think
that's
this is very
true.
critical.
Yes, that's right.
One might say law is of no interest because so much of it's corrupt.
Yes.
Just taking it, but I might go into it and find that there was
There
a
are-
challenge which I could
Yes,
create.
quite.
Yes.
Because I feel this with education. I mean, anybody in education knows that they're teaching under unfortunate circumstances, but at the same time, it's a challenge that one tries to creatively meet.
Yes, and one can change the circumstances.
Yes, I mean,
Without
there is the
teaching
point
other
at which one
places.
might begin to make a society that's a little bit more sane.
Sir,
if one
I understand,
can.
but you see, young people that one has met in India and Europe and America and here, they're not concerned with that at all.
Well, why not? That's the important point is it because they've made a mistake in judgment, or is there something deeper? You see?
I think both, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Both in their judgment and in the feeling of what is it all about. They see the older generation utterly miserable. Their money, jobs, hopeless lives they lead. And they say, why should I join that group? It is both evaluation, perhaps wrong evaluation, and also a deep inward sense of despair. Perhaps I'm using the word it may be too severe a word, but there's a sense of hopelessness about it all.
But is it possible these are related, you see, that the despair, if the despair is the outcome partly of this evaluation, or is it due to something else, you see? Which
But
would not be a
society
factor?
has nothing to offer me. Church has nothing to offer me.
Well, see, we were just discussing...
And the older generation has nothing.
But we don't know this until we've actually gone into it. That's what
But
can see
they
it. We can
don't
see it
want
at
to
a
go
glance.
into it. They see it. It's
At a glance,
young
you can see it.
people.
Well,
Don't.
I can't see. I mean, I must say that speaking for myself, I did go through a phase when I first met your
Yeah.
teaching in which I felt the world had become denuded of everything, that I thought it was sick. And then by force of circumstances, to earn a living, I had to come to terms with it. And I then found that what I dismissed actually had an enormous amount of wealth, if met with the kind of
Yes, quite.
intelligence.
Intelligence, I know. But we don't. We are not like that, young people. They want to sweep you follow, so they're too impetuous.
They won't compromise.
I won't compromise. There is I will study. I'll find out where this, which is more sane. That doesn't exist.
But it does, Krishnaji. I'm surely these young people are just sweet.
I don't know. I'm asking.
I thought, we were talking to the people here, really. We're not so concerned with the other young people who aren't here.
No,
He's mouthed the question
Yes.
for a million young people.
Oh yes.
Yes.
In America, this came up quite often at Harvard.
But these are all thoughtful young people, aren't
Yes,
they?
they
are.
Serious
Very,
people who've always
very.
But
pursuing
Mary, we're
study.
going to meet people on and off.
Yes.
We're going to have to answer this question too.
I mean, we're still asking this question.
Yes,
I'm
we
40,
still
I'm
are.
still asking this question. I mean, we all are, aren't we?
I know, but
But
you
we're-
you and I are in a different class altogether.
We've come to terms.
We have come
Oh,
to terms.
very uneasy terms.
That doesn't matter.
But as you know, well, it hasn't come to terms once and for all time, has one?
But that's what they want to do.
No, but I mean, we know that we haven't really settled this thing.
I know, but the younger people say, no, I'm not going to go through all this nightmare that you people are going.
Yes.
But yes,
Uncertain, we are coming to terms. I said, please forget all that. We're not interested in all that.
well, I don't think fundamentally the position is so terribly different for the various age groups. This is what I'm trying to say. I mean,
I know I'm married, I have children, I have a job,
We've
but I'm
accumulated.
dissatisfied with it. That's our position is entirely different from those people who say, look, I don't want to touch this thing.
Well,
It
are
doesn't
they
mean a
really
thing
saying
to
that?
me.
Are they really saying they don't want to touch this thing? I mean, I don't feel they are,
What
exactly.
is the actual situation? I mean, what?
Of these people.
I'm voicing it because I've met so many
Yes.
people of that nature. So they become beatniks, you follow, they join the hippies, they go to, all that thing.
Well, could we ask the people here if they actually feel that this society really has no possibility whatsoever to offer? I mean, just simply to establish the fact.
Yes, for me it is like that. And even more, it is a danger.
You see, sir?
You have to avoid it. It's
Quite.
All of it, Robert. I mean, there's nothing. Well, there's something because you're here.
And don't put in those questions. You can't.
Yes. Yes, this is making it too.
That's what they all feel.
Yes.
This general sense of wiping the whole thing. I don't want to join that thing.
Yeah.
As you say, sir, I can find
Yes.
corners where I can do some good or some usefulness, but that's just please.
Maybe we're kidding ourselves also because we've got hostages to fortune already, haven't we? Which other will have to.
Yes. But one might have made this decision before one had to.
Take that boy in Bombay, Nandini's son.
Yes, Ghanshyam.
And the other boy too.
Yes,
Both of them.
Vikram.
They've got money, they support.
Yes.
Why
should we do something?
Something. I'm not interested even in my money.
Yes, well, they say the only question you could ask is, they say that, all right, the society has nothing, but then are they satisfied? You say just simply leave it at that.
No, but they say, how am I to live?
Yeah, but those who have money, for example.
I know those fellows don't count very much. But I'm just saying, those people who have no money, who feel this very strongly, and they say, well, how am I to live? That the living is the problem, not whether I shall do education, this, that, and the other.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. I just have an uneasy feeling that we're sort of not seeing something which in a way is terribly obvious, which is that when I say I'm wiping, the slate clean as far as society is concerned, I can't say that because society is as much in me as it is in this.
Yes, but I have to earn a livelihood. I want food, clothes, shelter. How am I to get it?
Agreed, we could do this if we wanted to by taking work which demanded very little of us. At a certain level, but I don't think this is the fundamental problem. I think the problem is that most people feel in themselves, although they can be sick with the grossness of society, at the same time they still have this tremendous sense of some kind of potential, even within society. Otherwise, I think they would be even more opting out of it totally. And I suspect that a lot of the people who are most dissatisfied, it is because of this conflict, really. We can't really dismiss society because we say, all right, this is corrupt, obviously, but then you suddenly find, there's so much that is in it, not just corners, but
you are talking as a grown-up, somewhat. I'm not disrespectful, grown, mature person, because you have seen. But I, as a young man, I see the whole world in such an awful mess. Quarrels between husband and wife, the whole thing going on and on and on. And I say, what? And I don't want to end up like this.
But on the other hand, how can we dismiss the people who form society, since they are the only people who can form a new society? It's the system of relationships and not the people.
People, I agree, sir. But you see,
so therefore I find that whatever I might have to say about my relationship to a parent, I can still establish communication with my father.
Quite.
And the same with my tutors, my lecturers. Although I may dislike enormously the system which produces them as lecturer and me as student, I can still try to establish contact with them so that we can relate as people.
Yes, I don't think anybody's repudiating the people who form society. I think They are repudiating the system.
The other day, a boy was here. His parents, all the rest of it, and he says, I can Frenchly say, go that, or go and do some odd jobs. And I don't want to do, you follow? Well, lycée, I know where it's going to end up, a career. He's completely lost. And he said, I'm not alone in this. I said, a whole generation of people like me are like that.
You see, there's another question, which is that even supposing that such a person were to get a job as a gardener, as you suggest, or some such job where he could be moderately all right, he would still perhaps feel that it didn't mean very much. I mean, that
Yes.
that is not enough. I mean,
Yes, and I think that's
that
empty and trivial.
it's empty because, generally speaking, people have obtained the significance of life from society. I mean, over the last period of time, it seemed a long period of time.
So what? Then what? We can go on describing the...
Yes.
Then what will I do as a young man? Just,
Surely this feeling of being lost is in itself very valuable because it means I can now start afresh. I can begin to discover a way through this. I mean, it's only that, first of all, we don't like feeling lost, because we like everything to be partial, but we could actually begin to feel that this gave us a kind of, instead of shutting us in, was an opening sea in which we could discover something. Then I think one might begin to step by step find a way through this. I don't think one could jump over it. That's what I feel.
No. I suggest to this chap what you're saying, but sir, it doesn't penetrate very deeply.
Yes.
Huh?
See, I think that in order to appreciate even what you say, a certain kind of education and background is needed.
Obviously.
And a certain spirit of something. And if the person you describe seems to lack that, you see.
I know.
Now,
I must say it is a tremendous thing, sir. In America, you must know, the children, teenagers are running away from home. Can one answer this question at all, sir?
I don't see how we could hope to answer it.
No, I don't see either. I have to have tremendous character, a sense of, dedicated intention, which is, doesn't matter, I live any old way, gardening or teach some boys or something like that, but this intention to go through with something which I feel very strongly.
Yes, well, you see, in the past there have been such people, but see, in a way, such people tend to be come out of a certain social background which is not corrupt. You see,
Yes.
This whole corruption that you describe just takes away that strength that you say is necessary. You see that.
I mean, would a young person see all this?
Not if he's the kind of person you're talking about.
Most are like that, sir. But there are very few who say, well, this is what I want to do, I'll do gardening, I'll do anything, but this is what I'm going to do right to the end of my life.
If they say such a thing, do you think there really is such a thing they want to do, or it's forced on them Because they have to do something.
You have to do something. You are forced to do something, whether you like it or not. If you're in America, you're forced, conscripted. And the moment I was talking to somebody, moment you enter into the army and put your first step, you are finished, brainwashed completely.
Some escape.
Huh?
Some escape.
Of course, very few.
In England, do they have that?
No. No conscription here.
I think it's the only country in Europe.
Yeah, only country in Europe.
Probably in the world.
In India, they don't have it.
Oh, India is too inefficient. Oh, for God's
They
sake.
have their own sort of conscription and other sort of thing. It seems you were saying that this will only come about if they come from a certain sort of background. Where it seems almost as though we, the older ones, have a responsibility.
Well, yes and no, but we had exactly the same problem, you see. I mean, this
Not
isn't
quite.
new to you. Oh, I think it was the same when we were young. It's probably the same when our children were, probably.
I don't know whether I entirely agree with that. When we were young, well, at least with me, you know, I was just a little younger than they are when the war broke out. And then, in a way, there was no option. You know, we were caught up in the war. It wasn't quite the same.
We still had to face it when the war ended.
We were already past it then. In a way, things were more or less, they were set. I don't mean we were past, no, how can I put it? It was determined already by then.
One had gotten married or one had become
Yeah.
involved in another way.
Yes.
Of course, also not all the young people are that way. I mean, you find any number of them who are
Bent on
Of
career.
course, I mean, that's understood.
there always have been. See, that's difficult. It's a very complicated thing to understand. You see, if I remember in America that there were always people who were shiftless, or they drifted. You know, they never really could settle down to anything. You see,
I know.
this tendency has been here all the time, but probably it's got worse because. I mean, my estimate thing is this, that when people were poor, they used to imagine that if they had money, they would be happy.
I know
Now,
that.
some people, quite a few people have money and they find it doesn't help,
Back
you
to
see.
the...
And that's why the thing has gotten worse. I mean, you see, a lot of people have lost their motive because they see that getting money is not going to get them anywhere.
So are we talking to the group of to a generation that says it's not worth it, or are we talking to to individuals, you know what I mean, separate units?
I think that one can only be talking to individuals.
If you're talking to separate units,
But there are
then,
more of them than there were before.
yeah, separate units, then all that one can say is, very chap, if you feel this very strongly, go and do something, get on with it, find out. Struggle. You follow what I mean? Do.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't see how you can answer this question. If you had a community.
And you'd have a lot of other troubles.
Oh.
Is it possible, with the system as it is, you know, universities, for young people to live sort of experimentally for a few years and then go back to school? It always seems to me that it seems such a pity they have to go in so young and do this course that they have to take before they really experimented with the world, really.
It's a question whether they can get a grant. I don't know how that would work. I mean, but it's probably easier to get a grant right after coming out of school. You see, they'd have to rather explain why they did this, and the whole everything would be stacked against them.
Of course.
Very difficult enough, really.
Or otherwise they'll have to make enough money to do without, but that's really very high, you see. Yes.
I know someone who was in exactly this position. So he said, I'll get a medical degree and then I'll see. At least I'll have something I can use as a tool instead of starving. And he's almost got his medical degree. He still hates it. But he's doing it the way one would plough the field in order to get grain next year.
Quite.
And he says probably a medical degree doesn't do as much harm as making armaments.
So when you hear that, does it mean anything? No. That's it. That's it, you see.
Have you any...
And then you can't question this. You see, then you're questioning at that level, I'm on a different level.
But perhaps anyway, it doesn't mean anything.
Peter, why do you think you're leaving university?
I don't know that I am yet, but, I said I haven't made a decision.
Yeah, I mean, you're dissatisfied with it?
How far have you gone with it? How far have you gone?
I've done 2 years in economics and African Asian studies.
How many more would you have to do?
1.
Oh, finish it, for
We'll
God.
finish it and then throw it away.
Finish it, don't throw it away now.
It's like a...
No, look, how can you see this? Your metaphor was ploughing the field in order that, or was it yours? That grain should come next year. I can see this, as long as ploughing the field is not in itself hell, or,
Yes.
and if it is, then I would say, don't plough your field, go pick berries.
But for a year you can have hell, we all have.
Oh,
Yes, but I'd rather it was hell that I chose, and for reasons I knew why, and
You
not
know
for
why,
something.
to eat.
You see, sir?
This is not my problem right now. Not eating.
No, sir, this is a problem right through the world. America, India, Italy.
The cost of my living, as I am now at Sussex University, is surely not greater than the cost of my living another way. It's at least probably £1,300 a year.
Do you feel that you're really just, what is your feeling about going on next year? That it's not worth it, you don't want to do it, or what?
The courses, some of them mean nothing to me.
I see.
And yet I would be required to do them, as far as I know. Required to do them regardless of whether they meant anything to me or anyone else. That I cannot pursue the study of the things I want to learn of
What would you like
within
to learn?
the system. Well, of human society and of knowledge, learning. And these, fall within no discipline. I have hoped up to about 2 days ago that the people who I knew at Brighton, that together we could do something, akin to what I wanted. But not everyone else can feel as indifferent as I do toward the timetable, towards the degree at the end of it.
Yes,
And maybe it's too much to ask.
Are you hoping to get the others to demand a change in the... See if you could get a
No, you
curriculum
can't change it.
change.
You can't change, you
No,
can't
you don't
whistle.
work that way.
This doesn't sound to me such a case parallel to this
No.
one, because you have a sense of what you want, and it's a question that whether you're going to remove yourself from where you feel you're not getting it and go independently to find it. Well, that seems to me
That's quite a different case.
problem. But here, don't you think?
Oh.
I think the problem is the same. I have a feeling that it's simply verbalized differently.
Well,
I think they both feel perhaps that that the kind of things which will make you qualify for bread and butter, that these things engage you psychologically, and that they don't want to be engaged psychologically in order to have bread and butter.
Is it absolutely necessary to be engaged psychologically in learning that stuff? I mean, do you feel that you couldn't just learn it, for the sake of learning it and get it, just do it, you see? I mean, but the other point is, what would you do with the degree when you had it, of course? I mean, would it prepare you to do something that you want to do? Or would give you the right to do something? You see, with a degree you might have the right to get some other job that you could find more interesting.
Find more viable.
Now that I don't know, of course.
I wouldn't want, I don't know, I would hope that the people with whom I worked would not regard the degree as necessary for whatever work I might do. If you consider only your study and your work within the confines of the mainstream of the society, then sure, a degree is necessary. Okay. And I used to think like this, I guess, if I thought at all about it. But I've seen more recently that you can work not against, but in a different way to the mainstream.
I'm sure that it is important to do so, yes. But
doesn't that suggest
it's more important to me what I think about my diploma than what somebody else thinks about it. But if it doesn't matter to me, I don't mind if it matters to you.
yes, but Alan, this is a question of getting a job, and they demand.
So I happen to have the diploma.
Well, not if you're going to work in a
me.
garage or something.
Ah, that's something else.
I happen to have the diploma. You demand it from me. I think you're a fool to demand it, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, okay, but I'm asking, what kind of relations can you have with the guy who demands the degree?
There are thousands of other people in the world.
Yeah, I know, but if he's going to be your employer, do you want good relations with your employer? Do you want this employee-employer relationship?
Because he can change his mind when he gets to know
Also,
you.
he may be obliged to ask for the diploma, and he may agree with you.
Yeah,
He may be a college superior, and he may think like you that it's ridiculous, and he may simply acquiesce because the university senate thinks it's important, and you and he may be completely united in your feeling about the university senate, whatever it's called.
Well, what I just ask is,
for instance, I have to pay for postage stamps, and the man who sells them to me in the post office may think, as I do, that it's all unnecessary. That we may be very good friends, although he sells me postage stamps.
on that level I can agree.
And the degree is simply a bound note, like that.
We're all talking,
Yes, we're all trying to give advice. What you want is not found in the university, is it? I mean, the sort of studies you want to do.
Well, what I want can be found, I think, almost anywhere. If only people would realise it.
Yes.
Well, could you explain that more? I mean, let me see.
Well, all I want is that people should be able to sit back and talk and not talk and reflect
Yes,
on these problems of
that doesn't
living
exist.
in them.
That doesn't exist.
Peter, why is this incompatible?
My God, what we go
with your
through.
going? I mean, as Krishnaji says, it doesn't exist. But
So he's
if it at all would come into being, can't it come into being in spite of the...
In spite of the system,
If it's going to come into university everywhere, it's going to come into being at all. It's got to come into being in spite of the system.
Well, You know, I just find it difficult as an individual to work against an established structure which everyone else is working in terms of. Whether they mean this, whether they mean this or not.
It comes to essentially the same thing.
I can see that if you with others can create an alternative structure
Then you're fitting to it.
within or without the university,
But
then
Peter,
this gives you.
then you'll just be fitting into another society, one which happens to be more compatible, more agreeable, but it's still a society, isn't it? Unless...
Well, this is society, so then let's quit.
Yeah, sure, but I don't know, please don't, about...
You have all the people in New York who have rejected society. You know, you have a certain community which has rejected society.
Oh my God.
They formed one of their own.
They're
They have
phonies.
their bishops.
They're
and
phonies.
They have their elders and they have their authorities, Ginsberg, Leary and company. You see? And the society is in no way different from the one they've rejected.
So, would you say, we're talking, I'm just exploring, if you say I take my degree, I'm not really concerned what's going to happen in the future. Follow what I mean? I'm not bothered. But I'm going to take the degree and I'll trust life. I'm putting it rather brutally, rather too simply. I'll see what happens. This I have to do. I have to get up and wash, I'll do something. I'll take this degree. But after that, I'm going to let the thing ripen. I'm going to trust life. Or not take degree, leave the degree for the moment alone. I'll trust life. I'll see what happens. Could you ride on that wave? Which means completely abandoning yourself to life. I don't know if you...
Of which I am a part.
Of course,
Yeah.
completely abandoning yourself.
I don't know what this means.
And you don't know. You have to find... Now, you have to find out. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'll take my degree because that's just like having a bath or something. I'll take it. But after that, I'm going to leave myself open to life. Let it take me where it will. And I'm sure if you so completely abandon it, will take you right. But if you demand of life, it must be this, it must be that, it must be... Then you're caught. I don't know if you... Then you are setting the pattern.
What point the degree? I mean, this is the
I mean,
question.
degrees may be useful. Useful in the sense you may one day decide to teach. Life may push you along to teach, and you have a degree. Or it may prevent you from joining the army. God knows. You follow what I mean?
On the other hand, he shouldn't, if he's really going to abandon himself, he might abandon himself to not taking the degree. I mean, this is another factor.
He's halfway. He's more than halfway in
It's
it.
like saying I won't eat.
He's finished, for God's sake, finish with him.
More of a decision than to say I will eat.
I can always refuse to have the sweet.
Yes, I don't feel we should push him into taking a degree.
No, I'm not saying we should be pushed, but my feeling is, suppose I abandon myself to life. I don't know. But I'm not going to demand a thing of life. That I must live this way, that I must be that way, I must have a job, I must be a gardener, no. Let's see what happens. Can I do that?
And see, that one question is this, about this whole question, you see, the desire not to take the degree, you see, is it a demand in itself, or you see, in other words, you may be making a demand that you should never be required to engage in a job that was not wholly that you couldn't put your whole energy into psychologically. You say that this too can be a demand. I'm not saying that is or is not. And if you say I've got to live, you see, no matter what happens, you may well be forced to take jobs that are not really to your liking, which will be even less to your liking than these university courses.
You see, sir, but sir, look, sir, if I abandon myself to life, life is going to tell me what to do. I'm not going to tell life what I want.
Yes, but you see, this leaves open this question of the degree. You see,
that's a minor thing.
Yeah.
You see that he's already started on this thing, and at the moment, really, you're not really able to make a decision about it because you don't really understand self-sufficiently, I think, at this. So why not go on anyway? See,
you won't be any more unclean if you finish it. I mean, you won't be tarnished if you finish it. You won't be any different afterwards than you were before. It won't put a gash on your forehead or something.
I don't have anything against taking the degree, but it's not what I want to do now.
Of course.
Yeah. So that if, I mean, I might...
You see, that's what I'm saying. The moment you say, I don't want to do this, you are being caught.
And then the people who say, I don't want anything to do with the society are also
caught. That's why I say, if you have that feeling, I let it go.
Yeah.
You follow? I'll see. I'll walk along and see what happens.
But I think you feel somehow that, well, I feel that this is what I've been doing in a way that's got me to where I am now at university, because I never made a decision sort of to stay on. I just drifted on. I drifted into university when I got my degree.
This is not drifting.
And this is not
drifting, but it's in one channel.
People drift when they follow
this demands much more.
People drift when they will.
It's a bit tricky, really.
I think if you're really abandoned, something does take charge of things.
What would you say that is?
Huh?
I mean, what do you say that is?
Right.
Right. You see, I mean, there is one thing that if you are completely open, you can see the significance of each fortuitous event, you see, whereas when you are committed to something, you've chosen something, you can't see it.
When I say I want this,
yes, you can't see the other. So all sorts of opportunities may open up from now and then, but when you're committed, you don't really perceive them.
Yes, it does work.
You getting it, sir?
And when I drift, I've often unconsciously chosen.
Of course. That's why I must be extremely alert to abandon myself.
It's not drifting, is it?
No.
I can only be drifting when I have expectations.
Well, yes, it's a sort of...
Can I so completely be fearless? It's really that means I don't care. If I die, I die. If you follow, life is going to take charge of me. I am not going to dictate what I want up from life.
But many people who say that they are doing that are actually dictating.
No.
Oh,
that's hope.
Many people who say that they have abandoned and that life will take over are actually dictating
and
life.
Then that, of course, then you are playing.
Yes.
But if you actually say, I really don't mind what happens, let life.
Then the game's up.
Life looks out. Let me see. Let me walk along the road.
I was just thinking they're lucky in a way, because they don't have the what we think are commitments.
No, but this is really very important, sir. Can I say something without getting recorded this, or will you wipe it out afterwards? When you abandon yourself, it does take charge. It really doesn't take charge. You're a free man. You move.
Well, my thing is that you can see what everything means and you can
Yeah,
see what to do.
yeah.
You see that you haven't made up your mind, closing your eye to certain...
So, and the drifting in that is completely different from drifting in the other.
It requires you to be completely aware of what's happening so you can see what you're doing.
Yeah. Or not just go, you're sometimes blind and cold, come out, you follow yourself.
What?
You're sometimes blind, you don't see the whole works, so you come out of it. But you are walking all the time, you follow me, you are moving. There is no decision saying, I will do this, I won't do that. Then you are dictating, do something which is enormous with your particular little idiosyncrasy. So then you are caught.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way. Does that mean anything?
Sure, something. It's just the difficulty of expressing of expressing how I am, of trying to describe my attitude to the university degree and to alternatives which exist.
I have no alternatives. You see?
I have no alternatives to what I do.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm too young. I don't know. Next day I may marry. And then you follow? You're committed.
You'll have to have the degree. Something.
As an Italian lady said to us, Bulo Pie.
Yes, yes. You know the thing they put on the... What do you call it in English? The thing they put on the prisoners.
Ball and chain.
Ball and chain.
Yes.
Poor old thing.
So why do I want to dictate to life what it should do to me? Why can't I leave the door open? I'll walk. But I won't drift in the sense... I drift the moment I decide not to do something. And I think I'm very positive. It is not. I don't know if you can accept such a thing, but I mean, there it is. Inside myself, I have never decided I will do this. Never, sir. But I have to do certain things. I have to, definitely do certain things. But inwardly, psychologically, I have never said I want to do this. I'm not setting up as an example, for God's sake. I think there's a great deal in that, sir. Then every door is open, all right.
I don't think he should feel that if he gets married, he's closed the door.
I said, no. I said, if you reject a degree now, next year you might get married and say, my God, what the heck have I done?
You have made up the way.
Well, I mean, it's possible to be abandoned in marriage. I mean, the same attitude will
But
work in marriage.
first you must know what it means to abandon yourself. Never demanding a thing of life. Which means no fear.
two people go into marriage demanding not a thing of it or intending of it?
That depends on the people.
It seems to me.
Doesn't work if we do not do anything to.
Marriage is also being questioned. You say, why should I? What is all this? If I marry, it's part of society. I'm caught there. And I can't live with a woman because the woman needs shelter. Babies and all the rest of it follows. We will stop selling jokes.